Release your worries. Divine healing through Ho'oponopono revealed 40 days to sacred rest. In the heart of a bustling urban neighborhood, a mother named Mary felt the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. Every tick of the clock echoed the worries that danced around her mind: 3 children to care for, a home that struggled to stay afloat, and now, her husband, weakened by illness. Desperation clawed at her insides, and as she knelt by her bedside, tears streaking her cheeks, she whispered to Saint Jude, the patron saint of lost causes. She believed he heard her prayers, felt her heavy heart. One night, while leafing through a battered old book on prayer, Mary stumbled upon the ancient Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono. Forgiveness, it whispered to her heart. Healing begins within. The enchanting idea sang to her spirit like a bell filled with hope. She imagined uniting her family under this tradition, a way to cleanse their burdens and bring healing to their lives. However, when she shared her newfound knowledge with her husband, the skepticism in his eyes felt like a cold wind against her dreams. Even the local pastor, a man held in high regard, shook his head. True healing comes from medicine, Mary. His words struck her like a storm. But deep inside, she sensed something, an almost palpable energy that made her wonder if perhaps there was more to healing than mere science. As her husband's condition worsened, Mary's heart swelled with worry, but also with a call to action. She organized a community prayer night, guided by that vibrant hope. The modest church, filled with flickering candles, became a sanctuary of faith and longing. Families gathered, sharing burdens of their own, lifting voices in harmony, a chorus of hope echoing off the walls. Yet, the tension hung in the air like a thick fog. The local doctor stood at the door, casting a shadow of doubt, insisting on the limits of faith. Despite the uncertainty, Mary clung tightly to her belief. God can bring miracles, she reminded herself, as she encouraged the families to let go of their worries and embrace the spirit of forgiveness. Faces turned toward the altar, eyes brimming with desperation and faith intertwined. Suddenly, in a moment of utter reverence, the atmosphere shifted. A tremor of divine presence washed over them, as whispers of the faithful filled the silence. With every prayer that ascended, the air crackled, and just when despair threatened to envelope Mary, a completely miraculous sight appeared. The frail figure of her husband stood up, his face radiant with vitality. Gasps of shock erupted, the room illuminated with awe. Murmurs of praise erupted like a chorus of angels, a communal cry for joy. Mary could feel the warm glow of hope wash over her, because that small act of faith sparked something greater. The community began to grasp the core of Ho'oponopono, embracing forgiveness, not just as a practice, but as a way of living. They pivoted toward the divine, stepping into a realm where worry melted and healing blossomed. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the prayer night flowed into a sacred rhythm, Mary could sense the transformation not only within her family but throughout her entire neighborhood. They embarked together on 40 days of sacred rest, relinquishing their burdens to God. But as gratitude filled their hearts, Mary couldn't shake the doubt of the future. What would this newfound faith mean for them when life turned challenging again? Would they stand united, secure in their belief, or falter under the weight of their worries? The lingering uncertainty cast a veil over the joy, leaving the air thick with mystery and anticipation, as Mary looked around at the gathering, searching for the path forward in their shared journey with God. As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere in the neighborhood began to shimmer with a divine energy. Mary witnessed changes not only within her husband but also within their community. Neighbors who once carried the burdens of anger and resentment had begun to smile at each other, their hearts softening like wax under the warmth of the sun. The spirit of Ho'oponopono was slowly weaving its way into the fabric of their lives, pulling them closer together. One Sunday morning, while preparing breakfast for her family, Mary couldn't shake off a beautiful sense of peace that filled her kitchen. The aroma of warmth wafted through the air, mingling with the gentle laughter of her children. She was grateful for her husband's improved health, for the community that showed such love, and for the strength that God had given her in these trying times. Still, a small voice whispered in her heart. Was it enough? Later that evening, a gathering took place in the church courtyard, enriched by the prayers and stories of those who had experienced change. People began to share their personal journeys of healing. Some spoke of mending relationships, while others shared how they'd conquered fears that once paralyzed them. Mary stood among them, her heart swelling with pride and joy. She realized they had become a family bonded by faith, a living testament to God's grace. Yet, amidst the celebration, uncertainty lingered on the edges of her joy. What would happen when challenges arrived again? Would the warmth of their newfound faith endure, or would they retreat into old habits of doubt and worry? These thoughts danced like shadows in her mind, and when the sun dipped below the horizon, coloring the sky in shades of orange and pink, Mary took a moment to breathe deeply. Trust is all we have, she whispered to herself, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. As she closed her eyes, a rush of inspiration flowed through her like a gentle stream. It was a nudge to share the Ho'oponopono practice more broadly, beyond the confines of their little church. Why not gather everyone again, but this time to dive deeper? She envisioned a workshop, a space where families could explore forgiveness and healing together. Excited by the idea, Mary reached out to her husband, who had regained much of his strength. Together, they brainstormed ways to invite families from all walks of life to join them in this sacred journey. The first step was to announce it during Sunday service. As she shared her vision with the congregation, an electric buzz filled the air. But then, Mary faced the familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. What if they said no? What if someone challenged this idea like before? The whispers of hesitation began anew, threatening to drown the vibrant hope she felt just moments ago. Yet, in that very moment, she heard a voice, as gentle as a summer breeze, remind her of the blessings that had already unfolded. Perfect love casts out fear. Determined, Mary stepped forward, inviting the community not just for a night of prayer, but for a deeper exploration of faith that could bolster their spirits in times of crisis, a place where barriers would dissolve and love would reign. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting everything in a heavenly hue, a palpable excitement filled her heart for what lay ahead. But one question echoed in the quiet corners of her mind. Could they all sustain this journey of faith when the next trials emerged? Would they embrace the divine gifts of forgiveness and healing when the shadows of doubt returned? With that question hanging in the air, Mary felt both hope and trepidation turn into fuel. Little did she know, the next chapter of their lives held even greater mysteries and revelations. How would they rise to meet the challenges awaiting, and what transformations would shape their lives ahead? The following Sunday dawned bright and cheerful, brimming with promise. Mary awoke with a sense of purpose dancing in her heart. Today was the day she would announce the workshop on Ho'oponopono, a step forward in a journey she knew was vital for the community. She prepared her family breakfast, her hands busy but her mind clear. As the sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows, she whispered blessings over her pancakes, enveloping them with love and gratitude. At the church, a buzz of anticipation filled the air. The congregation, visibly eager, gathered for worship. Mary felt her heart race as she stood at the front, the weight of her intentions resting squarely on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, calling upon the streams of peace she had found in prayer. Brothers and sisters, she began, her voice steady yet softened by the warmth of affection, I stand before you with a vision born from love and faith. Her words flowed like sweet honey, touching hearts as they enveloped her. As she shared the purpose of the workshop, she saw nods of understanding and smiles forming across familiar faces. Together, let us explore healing through forgiveness. Let us open our hearts to the transformative power of love. It's time to release our burdens. A hush fell over the crowd as the weight of her words landed. Mary's heart soared with every positive response. It felt like her soul was intertwined with hers, sparking joy among neighbors who had once kept their distance. Encouragement rippled through the congregation, an electric wave heralding new beginnings. Yet, her joy mingled with vulnerability. She felt the weight of potential doubt looming over them, a reminder of old habits that could rear their heads again. After service, her husband approached her, pride glowing in his eyes. You did beautifully, Mary. Your words reached places I never thought possible. She could feel his love envelop her, pushing away the shadows of uncertainty. They exchanged smiles, a shared understanding passing between them. In the days that followed, Mary began receiving phone calls and messages from those who wished to join the workshop. Each message filled her with excitement and a tinge of apprehension. Could they really sustain this newfound momentum? Deep down, she felt a holy nudge urging her to prepare well to dive deeper herself into the spiritual practice. The first night of the workshop arrived, heartbeats echoing with nervous energy. Mary stood at the entrance, watching as families gathered, laughter and chatter warming the air. Children ran past her, giggling as parents connected with one another, a beautiful tapestry of community. Yet anxiety twisted inside her. Would they find the healing she had discovered? As the evening began, she invited everyone to gather in a circle, their hands clasped together. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and invited the presence of the divine. Tonight, we surrender our worries. Open your hearts to forgiveness, she encouraged softly. The prayers that followed were rich with vulnerability and honesty. People released their fears into the night, learning together the sacred art of Ho'oponopono. Mary watched as tears glistened in the eyes of her friends and neighbors, souls unburdening themselves in a sanctuary of love. When the time arrived for sharing, they spoke of personal struggles, healing wounds that often stayed hidden. One woman, voice quivering yet packed with strength, shared her heart about a mother-daughter conflict that had haunted her for years. "I'm ready to forgive," she expressed, her eyes bright with determination. Heartbeats aligned as the circle pulsed with empathy. As Mary listened, she sensed the divine presence wrapping around every person in that room. Suddenly, a wave of realization crashed over her. Perhaps the questions she harbored about their collective faith were now unimportant. Trust needed to be rekindled, not simply declared. The evening concluded with quiet reflection and prayer. As the last candle flickered out, the participants lingered, enveloped by the stillness they created together. But outside, the world still moved, challenges remained. What continued to await them just beyond the sacred space? Would they carry this light into the shadows that were sure to come? Mary left that evening with a question nestled deep within her, one that promised another chapter in their unfolding journey of faith. How would their practice of forgiveness hold against the tides of life's inevitable trials? The rhythm of hope and fear danced through her thoughts, leading her to ponder the depth of the journey yet to come. As the days unfolded, Mary could feel the energy of the workshop resonating throughout her community. It wasn't just a gathering, it felt like a spiritual awakening. People began to open their hearts in ways she had longed for, and soon, the air was thick with hope and possibility. She found herself in the church more than ever, preparing for the next session. Each time she entered, her heart brimmed with gratitude. The stained glass windows cast colorful patterns that danced on the floor, as if heaven itself was affirming their endeavor. She gathered the materials for the following session, a collection of stories, prayers, and even a few songs that she felt would weave their hearts together even tighter. On the next Wednesday night, participants trickled in, faces lit with a blend of excitement and trepidation. Mary welcomed each person, offering a gentle squeeze of the hand or a warm embrace. It was as if they were reuniting with parts of themselves long forgotten. By the time the circle formed, she could see the spirit of community alive and fiery. "Tonight, let us delve deeper," she announced, her voice echoing with intention. "Let us embrace the forgiveness that heals not just ourselves, but those around us." Each word felt weighty and filled with divine purpose. As they started the practice, Mary guided them through a meditative exercise, encouraging them to visualize each burden as a stone they carried. With each breath, they imagined setting the stones down, releasing the weight of guilt, anger, or hurt. The tranquility that followed felt palpable, a gentle breeze caressing the warm room. One by one, they began to share their experiences. A young father spoke of regret over time lost with his children. An elderly woman shared about her late husband, revealing the unspoken words that still weighed on her heart. Each revelation was met with understanding, and the room transformed into a sanctuary of love, tears flowing like rivers, washing away the pain. In that sacred space, Mary noticed something profound happening. The shared vulnerability began to dissolve the walls they had each built around themselves. They were participating in something much more significant than just a workshop. They were stitching together the fabric of their lives. As the night wore on, she invited them to practice Ho'oponopono, speaking the words of forgiveness out loud. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. When they spoke, the unity in their voices soared, intertwining like the melodies of a choir lifting their hearts toward the heavens. When the session drew to a close, there was a lingering hush. They held hands, eyes closed, embracing the silence that echoed with the weight of their shared journeys. Mary felt a warmth radiating through her, a divine embrace wrapping around them all. In that moment, she understood the power of collective healing, but as everyone began to depart, Mary sensed an undercurrent of concern. Despite the beautiful progress, could they sustain this newfound spirit when life's shadows crept back in? The reality of everyday struggles loomed like a specter at the edge of their warmth. With each parting word and smiling face, Mary's heart swelled, yet she could not shake the feeling that their journey was just beginning. How would they nurture the spirit of love and forgiveness outside these walls? Would they trust in the power of Ho'oponopono when faced with turmoil? Together, we must carry this light, she whispered, almost to herself, as the last candle flickered out. The question lingered in the night air: what challenges awaited them, and how would they rise above them as a united community of faith? As she closed the church doors, a deep sense of anticipation gripped her soul. What revelations did God hold for them in the days to come? Would they forge an even deeper understanding of love and forgiveness, and how would it shape their lives in the world beyond? The following week found Mary sitting quietly in the church, her heart a vessel of hope. The silence enveloped her like a soft blanket, comforting yet charged with expectation. She was eager for what the next gathering held. What wonders would unfold? As she prepared the sacred space, arranging cushions in a perfect circle and lighting flickering candles, a gentle warmth blossomed in her chest. The night arrived, and soon the familiar faces filled the room, each a testament to the journey they had embarked upon. There was laughter, nervous chatter, and the sweet scent of incense hanging in the air. Mary felt a bond forming, a shared tapestry woven with threads of trust and understanding. Tonight is a promise, she began, calming her voice to nurture the sacredness of the moment. We will explore the concept of surrender. Sometimes, we cling so tightly to our worries and fears that they overshadow our joy. As she spoke, the room fell into a hushed reverence, her words wrapping around them like a gentle embrace. Mary invited them into a shared meditation, asking them to envision the things weighing on their hearts. The energetic hum of anticipation could be felt, each participant slowly layering their worries onto the altar in the center of the circle, a beautiful representation of trust. As the meditation deepened, Mary encouraged them to visualize releasing each worry to God. Picture it floating up like a balloon, rising higher and higher until it disappears into the sky, she whispered, coaxing the participants into a state of sweet release. In the stillness that followed, Mary noticed a woman in the corner shedding silent tears. The sight of her vulnerability echoed deeply within Mary's soul. After a few moments, the woman shared her struggle, years of battling with an illness that seemed insurmountable. She spoke of the weariness that clung to her spirit, heavy like a cloudy sky. The room responded with overwhelming compassion. Words of encouragement flowed like cool water soothing parched earth. You are not alone, another participant said softly. Their support bloomed in the space, filling it with warmth and love. As the night unfolded, Mary encouraged a time for each person to share their personal stories of loss, of fear, of hope. Each tale was met with radiant support, and Mary felt the flickers of light in their hearts growing brighter. It was in these moments that she truly understood the beauty of community. They began the Ho'oponopono prayer once more, speaking those powerful words, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. The melody of their voices resonated upward, weaving through the very seams of the church, intermingling with their breaths as if the walls themselves were joining in. When the hour drew late, and the candles flickered low, Mary felt a chill run through her spine. There was a shifting in the atmosphere, something sacred was beginning to unfold. A powerful peace settled in, thicker and more vibrant than before. But just as she thought it was complete, a child's voice broke the silence, asking the question resting on everyone's heart. What do we do now? Mary's heart raced, swinging open gateways of possibilities. It was a simple question, yet it carried the weight of their collective fears and hopes. How would they carry this light into their everyday lives? Could they truly surrender their worries outside these walls? Indeed, she responded gently, sensing the spiritual urgency in the air. How do we sustain this light? As they clasped hands one last time, hearts intertwined in silent agreement, the question hung heavy and hopeful. What revelations awaited them, and how might they harness this divine energy in the world outside the church? In that moment, a whisper of inspiration stirred within Mary, a compass leading them toward the next part of their journey. It felt like a beckoning call towards the unknown. As they slowly drifted out into the night, a divine mystery loomed in the shadows, waiting to be unveiled. What transformative path would they walk together next? As the participants left the church, the crisp night air bit gently at their skin, yet something softer lingered within. Their hearts resonated with a warmth that defied the chill, and Mary felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. They walked together slowly, the street lamps flickering like guardians along their path. Conversations flowed easily, a stream of shared experiences and insights bubbling forth. I felt something lift when we released our worries, one man murmured, his eyes shining with newfound clarity. It was as if a weight was removed, like when you finally let go of a rope after pulling too tightly. Mary smiled, her heart swelling with the realization that the connections they forged were deepening. With each step, she couldn't help but wonder about the unfolding journey ahead. What divine threads were weaving their stories together? As the group approached the park, someone suggested they pause for a moment, and without hesitation, they drifted towards the grassy knoll, a familiar space where laughter once echoed during church picnics. The moonlight illuminated their faces, casting an ethereal glow. "Let us take a few minutes to breathe," another member suggested, her voice soft yet commanding. They all sat down, forming an impromptu circle once again, just as they had inside the church. Mary closed her eyes, inviting the breeze to wash away the remnants of their earlier worries. In that sacred silence, a moment of deep communion began to unfold. Memories swirled of hopes dashed, dreams deferred, yet here they were, celebrating resilience. Mary opened her eyes and observed their faces, the way the moonlight danced in their eyes. The energy felt palpable, like the air was charged with promise. "Tonight was beautiful," Mary finally spoke, her voice threading through the stillness. "But we cannot forget the power of this moment. We must carry the light within us." A young girl, who had quietly been listening, replied, "But how? How do we keep it shining?" Her question was innocent yet profound, echoing the very essence of their shared journey. The fullness of the night settled over them, and Mary felt a surge of inspiration bubble within her. We begin by being willing to share our light. Find someone who needs a word of kindness, a gesture of hope, or even a reminder of faith. If each of us touches one life, think of the ripple effects. The group nodded, feeling the weight of her words resonate in their hearts. There was a sense of urgency now, a calling to expand their circle beyond this sacred gathering. But within the silence that followed, Mary sensed a deeper whisper, a hint of something waiting to be revealed. As she looked around, she wondered if this was merely the beginning. The idea of a commitment to connect beyond their initial circle flickered within her. What if we met not just to share but to serve? She proposed hesitantly, feeling the warmth of their collective energy. The thought danced in the air, fluttering with the possibility of change. Perhaps we can support a cause together, or help those in need in our community? Excitement ignited the group, voices rising with enthusiasm at this new venture. But just as their ideas began to take flight, a flicker dimmed her thoughts. What fears or old worries might rise as they approached the unknown? Would they cling to their comfortable routine, or step boldly into the light? As the night wore on and they headed home, a seed of divine purpose had been planted even as shadows lingered in their minds. What awaited them on this new path? What challenges would they face, and how would faith transform obstacles into stepping stones? A question loomed large in Mary's heart, pulsing with both anxiety and hope. Could this be the spark for a greater change? The night closed around them, rich with promise. The next chapter of their unfolding journey was poised on the precipice of revelation, waiting just beyond the horizon. What essence of divine healing lay ahead, and how would it challenge their faith in transformative ways? The days that followed felt electric. Mary awoke each morning with a quiet determination, buoyed by the memories of their gathering and the commitment to serve that had stirred in her heart. Meeting with the group soon became a sacred ritual, a time not just for sharing, but for seeking out ways to make a difference in their community. At each gathering, the energy grew more vibrant. Ideas blossomed like wildflowers, volunteering at the local soup kitchen, collecting clothing for shelters, offering tutoring for children in need. The acts felt small in isolation, but combined, they painted a picture of hope and healing. One crisp Saturday morning, they gathered once again beneath the old oak tree in the park, dressed warmly and ready for action. Mary stood at the center, her heart dancing with anticipation. Today, she began, her voice alive with the love they had cultivated, we put our plans into motion. Let us embrace our community and serve in whatever way we can. As they split into groups, determination flickered in their eyes. But within the bend of laughter and conversation, a shadow of fear began to creep up again, a voice in Mary's mind whispering doubts, whispering questions. What if they're not ready for this? What if we fail? Mary took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. She remembered the warmth of the night they gathered under the stars. God is with us. There is no failure in love, she murmured softly to herself, finding solace in the truth of her own words. The day unfolded beautifully. They cooked together, served meals with joyful hearts, and connected with those who had been overlooked. Each plate brought them closer, each smile shared demolished the wall of fear that had tried to hold them back. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of gold and pink, a woman approached Mary with tears shimmering in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered, voice trembling. You have no idea how much this means. Mary's heart swelled, warmth flooding her chest. In that moment, she realized the ripple effect they had created was far beyond her expectations. Standing amongst her friends, she felt radiant, filled with purpose. But just as she thought they had found their stride, another question surfaced. What if there is more? What if this is just a taste of what is possible? The answer lingered in the air, heavy and inviting. Conversations shifted toward their next steps, visions of expansion drifting like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. But as they dreamt aloud, Mary felt a tug at her spirit, a sense of divine possibility looming just beyond their reach. Could we do more than this? Someone asked timidly, a hopeful look intertwined with hesitation. Mary smiled, the divine spark igniting within her once more. What if we held a community gathering, a day of hope, healing, and connection? A space for everyone to come, to listen, and be heard? Excitement pulsed through the group like an electric current. They wrapped their hearts in anticipation, but a shadow of doubt flickered within Mary again. Would they truly be able to open such a space? What logistical challenges lay ahead? As they packed away their supplies, laughter still in the air, she felt both exhilaration and trepidation. The fear of the unknown crept in once more. How could a small group of believers bring about so much change? Yet, the question hung there, a bright invitation beckoning them forward. Let us pray, Mary suggested, as they joined hands once more. In the simple act of prayer, she felt a wonderful shift in her heart, a release, an openness to what God might reveal to them. With each whispered prayer, the doubts began to fade, replaced with a fervent expectation. They fell into silence, an almost tangible connection weaving around them. As they opened their eyes, all eyes turned to Mary, filled with trust. This is only the beginning, isn't it? She declared, her voice trembling with excitement. Yet, beneath the fervor, she wondered, what challenges awaited them? Would faith be enough to guide them through the unknown that lay ahead? The air felt charged with potential, echoing the promise of what could be. Mary felt a new chapter creeping closer, full of divine revelation and uncharted paths. What greater purpose would breathe life into their dreams? What stepping stones would faith lay before them? As the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a canvas of twilight behind, Mary felt the weight of her vision pressing gently against her heart. The day had been vibrant, yet the pulse of uncertainty still thudded in her chest. A community gathering, a day meant for connection, how splendid it sounded. But what would it take to bring it into reality? Gathered together, her friends reflected a hope that was both contagious and solidifying. Each face seemed to shimmer with the possibility of something greater, of healing not just for themselves but for the larger community. As Mary looked upon them, she saw spirits renewed, longing to connect deeper. Imagine, she mused aloud, feeling the excitement swell, a space where stories can be shared, where burdens can be lifted, where healing can unfold before our eyes. Her voice rose gently, inviting others to breathe at I in the circle. There were murmurs of agreement, nods of encouragement, and eyes sparkling with newfound faith. But still, a voice inside Mary contested, "How can you make this happen? How can such a vision come to life?" "Let us make it happen together," one of her friends spoke up, a bright spark in her eyes. The words swept through the group, igniting an eagerness. They began tossing around ideas as if each word flowed from a fountain of divine inspiration. "Let us find a local venue," suggested someone, "a place that's welcoming," another replied. "We can create a simple agenda, maybe invite a local speaker," and then, someone else added, "What if we included a space for prayer and meditation? That could be powerful." Mary felt their energy, each idea a thread weaving them closer. "We'll reach out to local churches and organizations too," she said, her own spirit emboldened by the group's enthusiasm. "Connection is key, and we can gather support." With every suggestion, the cautious doubts began to fade, replaced by a palpable sense of unity. The group dove into planning, exchanging email addresses and sharing contact information like excited children trading marbles. But amidst the exhilaration, questions lingered like shadows at twilight. What if no one shows up? Mary thought, her heart fluttering with concern. What if our efforts fall flat? In a moment of stillness, she closed her eyes. She envisioned the gathering anew, not as a task but as an act of love and extension of their hearts to those who needed it most. The fear dissipated, only to be replaced with an overwhelming sense of purpose. "Thank you, God," she whispered. Guide us through the unknown." Her friends had formed a prayer circle around her, their hands clasped tightly, hearts open and expectant. They began to pray, each voice softly lifting up their fears, their dreams, and the hope of the community gathering into the air, a fragrant offering of faith. When they finished, an unspoken agreement hung in the air. Each of them felt it, a collective promise to make their idea bloom. The buzzing energy shifted to a gentle calm, a warmth that embraced them. As the evening faded, Mary felt lighter, infused with hope. She looked around at her friends, their faces aglow with dreams yet to be birthed. "This isn't just about us anymore. It's about reaching out, extending hope to those who need it," Mary said, her voice steady yet, deep in her gut, a new question stirred. What awaited them in this next step? What doors might open, and what challenges would rise? In the quiet of the now cool evening, they all sensed it, something divine was stirring. The echo of possibility shimmered in their hearts, waiting for the next turn in their journey. Mary could almost taste it, the sweet anticipation of their first gathering. Soon, they would walk a path marked by faith, courage, and a promise from something greater. But the profound question clung to her spirit: could they truly navigate the unknown with God beside them, guiding their steps into a future bright with hope? With that uncertainty lingering sweetly, they left beneath the stars, hearts entwined in faith, ready for what was to come. Mary awoke the next morning, the bright sun spilling golden light into her room. It felt like a warm embrace, nurturing her spirit. She stretched, taking in the gentle sounds of life outside. But amid the beauty, her mind circled back to the gathering. Today was the day they would begin reaching out, igniting the first sparks of their vision. She dressed quickly, heart fluttering with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The others would meet in the park, an open space symbolizing freedom and exploration. Mary could almost hear their laughter already as she imagined the planning session morphing into a lively celebration of faith and community. As she stepped out into the fresh morning air, she whispered a small prayer. "Lord, give me courage. Help us speak your truth today." The warmth of that hope filled her, wrapping around her like a soft blanket. Upon arriving at the park, she saw her friends gathered, each holding notepads and pens, ready to dive into the day. It was a scene of camaraderie and purpose. "Good morning," she called, a smile breaking over her face. Their faces lit up in response, and they quickly formed a circle, a space of intent and love. "Let us start by reaching out to the local churches," one friend said, her eagerness palpable. "They can help us get the word out." Mary nodded, feeling the weight lifting, their shared enthusiasm soothing her lingering doubts. "Yes. And what about food? We could gather donations or potluck style." The idea sparked more excitement and chatter. In this vibrant exchange, Mary paused to take a breath. She felt a divine presence weaving through their discussions, guiding them. "What if we create a space for individuals to share their stories?" she proposed softly. "We might never know how someone's experience could touch another's heart." The group fell quiet for a moment, considering it. "That's powerful," another friend replied, eyes glistening. "Imagine the healing through those stories." As the energy surged, Mary sensed the weight of the world lifting. They were creating something sacred bound together by hope and vulnerability. But then a thought nudged her again, sharp and persistent. "But what if our preparations falter? What if we don't attract anyone?" In that split second of doubt, a swift breeze swept through the park, rustling the tree leaves above them. It felt like an answer God's breath of assurance. Mary closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. "We do this for him. If we touch one heart, it's worth it." With renewed clarity, they transitioned from planning to affirmation, voices intertwining in prayer once more. As they prayed, the gentle sound of their united hearts echoed lovingly. "Lead us to those in need," one friend whispered. "Bring them to us, Lord." When their prayers faded into serene silence, a soft hush fell upon the park. Mary felt the weight of the Spirit affirming their endeavor, a calm certainty washing over the group. "Let us dedicate ourselves to gathering stories of hope," she suggested. "And we'll share our own tales too. Together, we can weave a tapestry of faith." As they brainstormed further, a sense of joy filled their hearts, mingling laughter with a holy resonance. Each idea built on the last, each person feeling hands held tighter than before, empowered by the trust they shared in this journey. In the midst of it all, Mary reflected on a truth that stirred deeply within her. The act of outreach was just as much about allowing themselves to be vulnerable as it was about connecting with others. Genuine transformation lived in that space of openness. As the sun began its descent once more, casting the park in hues of gold and crimson, they all felt a surreal stillness. Mary glanced around, taking in her friends' expressions filled with a mix of determination and uncertainty. "Friends, remember," she said, "we cannot do this without each other. Our strength lies in unity and in faith." But as the gathering drew to a close, a chilling thought crossed her mind again. What if they were challenged in ways they couldn't yet anticipate? With burdens of that thought resting upon her heart, she chuckled softly. Onward we go, no matter the storm. As they left the park that evening, the horizon painted in fiery orange hues, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary lay ahead. The resonance of hope beat strong in their hearts, leading them toward the unknown. What awaited them as they stepped into the light? What divine encounters were waiting on the other side of their steps of faith? The sun rose over the neighborhood, painting the sky in soft shades of lavender and gold, heralding the dawn of the awaited community gathering. Mary awoke with a heart full of anticipation. Today was not just another day, it was a pivotal moment, an opportunity to unite, to touch the lives of many, and to weave their stories into a mosaic of divine healing. She dressed deliberately, feeling each garment as a layer of purpose, embracing her role as a catalyst for change. As Mary approached the venue, a local community center, the air hummed with excitement. Vibrant banners adorned the walls, echoing messages of hope, love, and unity. Families streamed in, laughter mingling with the scent of fresh coffee, creating an atmosphere thick with joy and expectancy. Mary's heart fluttered in her chest, a mixture of eager anticipation and reverent gratitude. "Look! Everyone is here!" her husband exclaimed, beaming with pride. Mary scanned the room, taking in the faces of friends, neighbors, and even strangers. This gathering was more than an event, it was a reflection of their collective journey, a testament to the healing and forgiveness they had embraced through Ho'oponopono. Thank you, Lord, she whispered, grounding herself in the sacred energy swelling around her. As they settled into their seats, the program commenced with a gentle invocation, creating space for divine presence. Mary stepped forward, her voice steady, yet filled with warmth. Welcome, everyone. Today, we are here to share, connect, and heal together. Let us embrace the power of our stories. With every heartfelt testimony shared, the atmosphere pulsed with an electric kind of love. They talked about struggles faced and burdens lifted, each story resonating deeply. Tears flowed freely, not out of sadness, but as a cleansing balm, weaving a tapestry of vulnerability and strength that bound them closer together. Mary listened intently, feeling the presence of God working through each voice and heartbeat. When a young woman rose to speak, her hands trembling slightly, the room fell still. I never thought I could forgive, she began, her throat tight with emotion. But when I joined this community, I realized I wasn't alone. Forgiveness has healed my relationships with my family. I've let go of anger that weighed me down for years. Gasps of understanding and murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Mary felt tears brim in her eyes. This was the fruit of their labor, the manifestation of grace lived out loud. As the day unfolded, they shared stories of reaching out beyond their gathering: an elderly gentleman who decided to mentor youth, a mother who reconciled with her estranged daughter, and friendships forming among neighbors who had once felt like strangers. Each narrative sparked a spirit of hope, igniting a fire that would drive them to carry their light into the world. But even amid the joy, an unshakable question lingered in Mary's heart: would they hold on to this unity when faced with trials and laughter faded into silence? The thought danced at the edges of her mind. As the gathering drew to a close, Mary invited everyone to take part in a final act of commitment, a pledge to support one another and keep the light of community alive. They joined hands, forming a circle, and began to chant the Ho'oponopono prayer together, voices rising and intertwining. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. In that sacred repetition, something profound shifted. The room, their hearts became a vessel of light, a sacred place where faith led them boldly into the day. When they broke the circle, a warm embrace filled the space around them, as if the divine wrapped its arms around each person, sealing the unspoken promises made. Mary felt her heart swell to the point of bursting. As they departed, clusters of neighbors stood chatting, laughter echoing against the brick walls, the sweet smell of possibility hanging in the air. Mary watched the connections unfold and felt certain they held the key to resilience. Each embrace, every shared smile, deepened a bond that transcended fears of the past. That evening, as she walked home hand in hand with her husband, she looked at the sunset and felt a gentle whisper in her spirit. This is just the beginning, it said. Life would surely challenge them again. Struggles might arise, doubts could claw at their joy. But she knew, deep within, that they had tasted sacred community, and together, they could overcome anything. Reveling in the warmth of love and the power of their collective faith, Mary smiled, confident in their path forward, ready for whatever divine mysteries awaited them next. Now, dear friends, as you reflect on this beautiful journey, I need you to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You can make a difference today. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this ending, your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. True servants of God understand the importance of lifting each other up. Let us spread this light together.